Hi, welcome. Hope everybody is having a great day and a nice weekend thus far. Today's video is about my diagnosis of costochondritis, which came about after the passing of my sister in 2019. So, let's just do the backstory right quick. Okay, so 2019, as you know from my sibling loss video, which I'll put that in the description box. But in 2019, my sister was diagnosed with cancer. She passed in July 6th of 2019. So after she passed, and somewhere between grief and more grief, December 2019, early December 2019, I started having these really bad chest pains. And I mean, like, it hurt to breathe, it hurt to sit up, it hurt to move, turn, it hurt just about to do anything. Like, it was past sore. It was just intense pain. It was really, really intense pain. And at first I had kept it to myself because these were the same precise symptoms that my sister began with. So when it was happening, I was like, oh my, like, that was my very, very first thought. I was like, oh my God, like, I get this. No, this cannot be lung cancer. Like, this cannot be happening, right? And so, I kind of just dealt with it, like, in denial a little bit, until it got so excruciating that I had to go see the doctor. Now, of course, I got on Google and I put in all of my symptoms. And so it was either going to be lung cancer, and Google actually did give me costochondritis. So I said, you know what? That's what it is. So I went with the lesser evil. I was like, you know what? That's what it is. Because if it's not this, it's lung cancer. So we're just going to go with costochondritis. So I remember going to the doctor, and I'm telling you, it was so hard getting up them stairs, sitting on the medical table, even laying down on the exam thing so he can check. It was so painful, so painful. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? I remember laying on that table and he's like pressing around here and everything. And the thing is, you really can't touch it from outside. And it's like right down the sternum, like right in there. And I remember he did the exam, and I was like, you can't touch it. It's like it's inside. This is internal pain. And I couldn't even sit back up. He had to pull me back up very slowly, mind you, because this crap hurts. Or maybe I have a very low tolerance for pain. I don't know. Okay. I just, uh, mm, mm. So, um, and just based off of that, we talked a little bit more, and he, like, it sounds like costochondritis. And I was like, okay, because I hadn't told him what I found on Google. I was like, okay, so we can go with that. And I think I did mention lung cancer probably, and he was like, that's not what it sounds like. Now we can get a biopsy and do all this testing and stuff if you feel like you need to, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure it's costochondritis. I take your word for it, okay? That's what it is. Cause yeah, we don't have time for whatever else. So that was the backstory to costochondritis and my diagnosis with that. And I was also told that I would have to leave a I would have to lead a, I'm gonna say this right, sedentary lifestyle. Like you just really couldn't do too much lifting, too much nothing, or whatnot. And I'm gonna put the official definition behind costochondritis in the description as well. But basically, sternum, the cartilage in between this and your ribs, it's inflamed. How do they get inflamed? I have no freaking clue. Now, how did I develop this? It's a crazy story. Okay, so like I said, my sister passed away in July of 2019. I didn't start getting chest pains until late November, early December of 2019. And it was when I was explaining to the doctor about like, because he was just asking me like, what do I do? What kind of lifting do I do? What kind of, heavy lifting? I'm like, I haven't been doing any of that stuff. Like, what? I don't even lift anything heavy. I don't have no reason to. So, and somehow we ended up talking about like my grief and like going back further as far as like activities, what I've been doing, what I've been into. And you know what happened? It turned out, it blew my mind. So, taking care of my sister, lifting her up in that bed. Because I'm telling you, my Brianna, she was completely like immobile the last few weeks. So we had to like, I had, lift her out of bed, lift her up in the bed, help her in her wheelchair, get her wheelchair out the door, down the stairs, help her into the car. There was a lot of lifting, a lot of heavy moving when I was taking care of my sister. And yeah. And I couldn't believe it because that was, as far back as I could tell, that was the most heaviest work that I was doing that could have caused this to happen. And so then I was like, well, if that was in July and this is happening now, I forgot what he said about that. But yeah, I was like, this is nuts. It was just crazy. It was insane. So I was like, okay. So he was just basically saying that, it goes away, but it can flare up if you are doing a lot of heavy lifting. So I said, okay, fine. I recovered from that in 2019. I probably had one flare up since then. I can't remember when that was. So 2-3 days ago, right? I go to the store. I usually have my cat litter delivered. I usually have my cat litter delivered. I don't know what happened. But anyway, the delivery, it just didn't happen. It wasn't formed, blah, blah. So I said, dang, I need some cat litter. So I go to the store, I pick up some cat litter, and I get the 50-pound bag. I didn't think nothing of it. It was just like, okay, I can lift it. Now, I do remember when I got off the shelf, I was like, dang, this is heavy. Dang, this is heavy. Right? But I got it in the car, and I got to the car. I took it out. I put it in the car. And then I got home because I got like 2 medium flights of stairs. So when I got it out the car, I was like, oh my, this is super heavy. So I kind of put this big old 50-pound bag of litter. I put it on my shoulder as best as I could, right? And so I was kind of walking hunched back so I can carry the litter up the stairs into the apartment, thinking nothing of it. I changed the cat box. I did everything fine, normal, whatever. And I went to bed, slept great. I went to bed, got up the next morning, or I opened my eyes, And, just looked around, kind of like, whatever. And when I turned to like put the covers back, it was like a pain just said right in the center of my chest. And I'm not even gonna lie. Like at first, I thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, "What is happening here? What is happening?" And I didn't know, like, if I shouted, would my mom hear me? I was like, "What is happening? This pain is so horrible," and it was just like so crazy. But I was able to swing my legs over the side of the bed, and I was just holding my chest. I was like, "Why is this hurting so bad?" And but I was just aware that I was breathing. I can move. I can say a full sentence. So I'm like, okay, it's not that. I'm not having a heart attack. I stood up. I'm still like, what? Because it was hurting. I was like, oh my goodness. And it was after I realized that it felt like my sternum was like hurting deeply. I was like, oh snap. I done triggered that Costochondritis. I done triggered my cartilage, and they are aflamed. And when I tell you my chest was hurting all day long, it was hurting all day, and it got like gradually got worse. I took a naproxen that morning. I think that's 500 milligrams. It didn't do anything. I put a heating pad on all day. I'm so glad I had one of my menstrual heating pads at work. I put that on my chest, and I ended up leaving work early because I'm like, because the more you move around, the more all of this lifting, like it hurt to reach for the mouse on my desk. You know what I'm saying? This was like getting intense. So I ended up leaving work 3 hours early because I needed something else. I needed something stronger or something. So I ended up coming home. I didn't have anything. I did have a narcotic from my sterilization, but I didn't want to take that. So I had opted to take an arthritis, Tylenol, 2 of those. And I went to bed early because I knew I needed the rest. That's another thing. You just need to really be still for a long period of time so that it can just kind of calm itself. And thank God it was only one day of that. I got up the next morning and felt so much better. But there was just a little twinge here. If you move too quick or turn too quick, it's a little twinge. So it's 1,000 times better. And like right now, as I sit here making this video, I don't feel anything. But so when that happened, I realized that I had stirred up that. I thought about my sister and, all the things, the whole nine, because that all started that year after she passed. So it was kind of like a moment. There was a touch of grief. I ain't gonna lie. There was, when I realized what it was. And thinking about all that movement we did and how much help she needed, and poor baby. Yeah, that was just tough. That was tough. That was a tough time. But boy, got her really back. Got her really back. She's in a better place, and it's my hope that we'll see each other again. But that is where that diagnosis came from, and what I recently had to deal with again, very recently. And I felt like I wanted to talk about that because it was just the correlation of the whole thing, it just shocked me when it was happening. And you know, of course, this time, just going back to thinking about everything that happened that year, it's yeah, it's amazing. You know, life is, it's amazing. And I mean, and that's just me talking just from opening my mind up to so much more, but it truly amazes you. It really does. It really, really does. So I had to get that off my heart. Yeah, I really did. Until next time, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.